She was America's little sister on the hit sitcom What's Happening, a child star whose bright smile lit up living rooms all across the country. But today, hearts are heavy as the heartbreaking news surfaces. Danielle Spencer has passed away at just 60 years old. What truly happened in her final days? And how did the little girl we grew up watching endure some of the most unimaginable challenges behind closed doors? Stay with us. What we've uncovered will completely change the way you remember her. For millions of viewers in the late 1970s, Danielle Spencer was more than just a young actress. She was a cultural staple, portraying the quick-witted, sharp-tongued Dee Thomas on What's Happening. Danielle's charm, comedic precision, and irresistible wit instantly cemented her as a fan favorite. Yet behind the laughter and applause, her real life would twist and turn in ways far more dramatic than any sitcom script could capture. From skyrocketing to fame as a child, to enduring devastating personal loss, to fighting a rare and life-threatening illness. Danielle's story was one of remarkable resilience, triumph, and tragedy. Now, as friends, fans, and former castmates grieve her passing, we look back at her extraordinary life, the highs, the lows, and the moments the cameras never caught. This is more than a tribute to a beloved TV personality. It's a reminder of how quickly life can change, and how those who once brought joy to millions may carry hidden struggles no one ever sees. And believe me, by the time this story ends, you'll see Danielle Spencer in a completely different light. Her path to stardom began in childhood, but her on-screen presence carried the poise and confidence of someone far beyond her years. Born in Trenton, New Jersey, Danielle was introduced to the entertainment world early, thanks in part to her father, Timmy Rogers, a respected comedian and actor. Growing up surrounded by show business gave her an early sense of the spotlight, but no one could have predicted just how brightly hers would shine. In 1976, at just 11 years old, Danielle landed the role that would define her career: Dee Thomas on the ABC sitcom What's Happening. Inspired by the 1975 film Cooley High, the series followed three African-American teenagers navigating friendship, life, and growing up in Los Angeles. Danielle's character was the witty, no-nonsense younger sister of Roger Raj Thomas, played by Ernest Thomas. From her very first appearance, Danielle was impossible to ignore. Her razor-sharp comebacks, perfectly timed humor, and knack for delivering jokes without ever breaking her serious expression made her an undeniable standout. To viewers, she wasn't just Raj's little sister. She was the heartbeat of the show's comedy. Audiences adored her bold personality, and despite being one of the youngest cast members, she held her own effortlessly alongside veteran actors.
The chemistry among the cast was undeniable. Whether she was teasing Reg in good fun, calling out Dwayne or Haywood Nelson for their latest antics, or going toe-to-toe in wit with Rerun, played by Fred Berry, Danielle brought a realness to her role that connected deeply with viewers. Off-screen, she was known for being every bit as clever and quick as her character, yet she remained humble and grounded, never allowing her growing fame to get the best of her. What's Happening became a cultural touchstone, especially within the Black community, offering a warm, relatable, and uplifting portrayal of African-American family life at a time when such depictions were still rare on television. As Dee, Danielle became the face of the smart, no-nonsense younger sibling that so many audiences could see themselves in. The show enjoyed 3 successful seasons from 1976 to 1979, with Danielle's character consistently standing out as one of the most beloved parts of the series. Even after the final episode aired, Dee remained alive in pop culture through nostalgic TV specials and countless references. Yet, behind the scenes, Danielle's own life was far more complex than the role she portrayed in the years after the show ended. She would face hardships and heartache that no amount of television fame could shield her from. When What's Happening wrapped in 1979, Danielle confronted a challenge familiar to many child stars moving from being a household name to navigating a world where fame doesn't always translate into steady work. Although she did reprise her role in the spin-off What's Happening Now. In the mid-1980s, her career trajectory was anything but the seamless Hollywood success story fans might have expected. Once the original series ended, she found herself at a crossroads. Casting directors still recognized her talent, but the entertainment industry was infamous for typecasting, especially for child actors. So strongly associated with one unforgettable role, Danielle had become inseparable from the image of Dee Thomas, making it difficult to break away from that identity. Rather than force herself into ill-fitting roles or compromise her personal values for a career boost, she made a choice that surprised many. She stepped away from acting altogether. Instead, Danielle poured her focus into education, displaying the same intelligence and determination fans loved in her character. She attended the University of California and earned a degree in veterinary medicine, choosing a career path worlds apart from bright lights and studio sets. Her love for animals was genuine, and becoming a veterinarian brought her fulfillment Hollywood never could. Specializing in small animals, she eventually opened her own practice in California, where she cared for pets and built strong relationships with clients, many of whom had no idea their vet was once a beloved TV star. But even as Danielle created a stable and rewarding new life, her journey was far from free of obstacles. In 1977, during the height of her fame, she'd been in a serious car accident that left her with spinal injuries. Though she recovered enough to continue acting at the time, the damage lingered. Decades later, complications from that crash resurfaced, leading to major health struggles that sometimes forced her to slow down or even step away from her veterinary work. Through it all, Danielle carried herself with quiet dignity. She didn't seek headlines or sympathy. Instead, she focused on moving forward. She balanced her veterinary career with community engagement, making appearances at fan conventions, reunions, and interviews where she warmly embraced the nostalgia around what's happening. Fans valued her openness, humility, and down-to-earth nature qualities she had carried since childhood. Yet life still had more twists ahead. Though Danielle had found personal peace, her lingering injuries eventually led to life-altering surgery as an adult. These years taught her hard truths about the fragility of health, the unpredictability of life, and the strength needed to keep going. This chapter of her life also brought emotional challenges, as she mourned the loss of friends and former colleagues from the entertainment world, including several of her What's Happening co-stars, reminded once again of the fleeting nature of both fame and life. These losses struck Danielle deeply, yet they seemed to strengthen her resolve to live fully and hold close the relationships that mattered most. As the 2000s approached, Danielle's story became one marked by both triumph and quiet struggle. She was a woman who had conquered the entertainment world as a child, built a fulfilling career in an entirely different field, and faced serious health battles with unshakable courage. The years ahead would bring new turns, some uplifting, others heartbreaking, that would forever shape the way fans remembered her. It was in these later chapters that Danielle proved her greatest role wasn't Dee Thomas, it was being Danielle Spencer herself. As time passed, her life became a careful balancing act between the joy of pursuing what she loved and the constant presence of health challenges that had never fully disappeared. The spinal injury from that 1977 car accident pushed to the back of her mind in her younger years began resurfacing in ways she could no longer ignore. By the early 2000s, the lingering effects had developed into chronic pain and mobility problems. It became painfully clear that her body was paying the price for years of pushing through discomfort. Doctors warned her that without surgical intervention, her condition could deteriorate to the point where she might lose the ability to walk. Faced with such a sobering possibility, Danielle underwent major spinal surgery, a procedure that carried both risk and hope. Recovery was slow and grueling for someone who had built her adult life caring for others, whether it was the animals in her veterinary clinic or the fans who still cherished her. From her acting days, being forced to stop and rest was frustrating, but she met the challenge with quiet perseverance. In later interviews, Danielle shared that the ordeal gave her a renewed gratitude for every small win, whether it was walking on her own again or being able to return, at least in part, to the work she loved. Yet the physical battles were only half the story. The emotional toll of losing close friends weighed heavily. Over the years, several of her What's Happening castmates passed away, and each loss brought a rush of nostalgia and sadness. These were people who had been like family to her during the most formative period of her life, and their absence left a void she felt deeply. She often spoke lovingly of them at reunions and fan events, ensuring their memories lived on for those who still treasured the show. Then in 2014, tragedy struck again. Danielle was diagnosed with breast cancer. The news stunned fans who remembered her as the lively, sharp-tongued Dee Thomas and admired her dedication as a veterinarian. Danielle made the decision to share her battle publicly, not to seek pity, but to inspire others to prioritize their health and get regular checkups. She underwent treatment, fought hard, and was eventually declared cancer-free. The fight left her with an even deeper awareness of how fragile life can be. Even as she weathered these storms, she continued moving forward. Danielle stayed active in both her professional and personal life for as long as she could. Whenever the opportunity arose, she appeared at conventions, greeted fans with warmth, and took part in interviews honoring the legacy of what's happening. Her unique ability to blend her celebrity past with a grounded, everyday existence was a big part of why she remained so beloved. In her later years, however, her health struggles began to intensify. Complications from the spinal injuries and earlier surgeries continued to affect her mobility. Some reports indicated she underwent further operations and rehabilitation as time went on. Yet through it all, she held on to the same humility and resilience that had guided her through decades of personal and professional change. Then came the devastating news. Danielle Spencer had passed away. The announcement sent shockwaves through fans, fellow performers, and the entertainment community as a whole. For many, it felt like losing a part of their own childhood. Social media quickly filled with heartfelt tributes from viewers who remembered hurrying to their TVs to watch her deliver razor-sharp one-liners with Raj and Rerun, as well as from those who had met her at conventions or as clients in her veterinary practice. Her death wasn't simply the loss of a former child star, it was the passing of a woman who had lived multiple lives, each marked by perseverance, reinvention, and quiet strength. She had broken ground as a young Black actress on a major network sitcom, served as a devoted veterinarian who cared deeply for her patients, and survived some of life's harshest challenges. Ultimately, Danielle Spencer's legacy wasn't defined solely by the fame she found as a child. It was the sum of her courage in the face of pain, her compassion for others, and her ability to meet each chapter of her life with grace. Her memory will live on not only through endless reruns of What's Happening, but also through the countless lives she touched, both human and animal. And for the millions who grew up with Dee Thomas, her passing will forever feel like saying goodbye to a piece of home. Danielle's journey was one of those rare stories that was at once extraordinary and deeply human. She wasn't just a recognizable face from television's golden era, she was a woman who had endured more than most could imagine, yet carried herself with unwavering dignity from her earliest days in the spotlight to her final years. For many, the first image that comes to mind at the mention of Danielle will always be Dee Thomas, the sharp-tongued, quick-witted little sister on What's Happening whose comebacks could stop Raj in his tracks. Dee wasn't just a secondary character, she was a cultural moment, arriving at a time when TV rarely offered authentic, multidimensional portrayals of young Black girls. Danielle gave us a character who was smart, self-assured, and relatable. Children saw themselves in her, and parents saw their own kids in the playful, loving clashes she had with her big brother. She gave a voice to an entire generation of young girls, showing them it was perfectly fine to be outspoken, to have opinions, and to stand their ground. But what made Danielle's journey even more extraordinary was what unfolded after the cameras stopped rolling. Unlike so many child stars who struggled to find their footing outside of Hollywood, she carved out a completely different path for herself. She pursued her education, earned a veterinary degree, and dedicated her life to caring for animals, a career that, in her own words, gave her a deep and genuine sense of purpose. This wasn't a move meant to grab headlines. It was a personal choice rooted in empathy and passion, a quiet yet powerful reminder that success comes in many forms. Her life, however, was not without its storms. The spinal injury from her teenage years, the lingering health complications, and her fight against breast cancer were heavy burdens to bear. Yet Danielle refused to let those trials take away her smile or her openness to connect with others. She chose to share her struggles, speaking candidly about her experiences in hopes of uplifting anyone walking a similar path. That honesty made her more than just a face from the past, it made her someone real and relatable in the present. Even in her later years, Danielle served as a bridge between generations. To older fans, she was living television history, a piece of the joy and laughter that had once filled their living rooms. To younger fans discovering what's happening through reruns or streaming, she was a new and exciting fine proof that great characters and performances never truly age. When the news of her passing broke, it wasn't only the show's fans who grieved. The sorrow poured in from former co-stars, fellow entertainers, and even strangers whose pets she had cared for over the years. Many shared personal stories of her kindness, how she remembered fans' names years later, how she took the time to truly listen, how she never rushed through an autograph line in an industry often criticized for being shallow. Danielle Spencer stood out for her genuine nature. Her passing feels like the end of a chapter in television history, but it also feels like losing a dear friend. She had been part of a show that didn't just entertain, it mirrored real family bonds, real friendships, and real humor. That show became woven into people's lives, and so did she. The emptiness her absence leaves behind is a testament to just how deeply she touched hearts. Danielle's legacy is one of resilience, reinvention, and quiet heroism. She proved that you can shine in the spotlight, step away from it, and still lead a life of profound meaning. She reminded us that fame pales in comparison to the fulfillment of meaningful work, and that being remembered for kindness is just as important as being remembered for talent. Long after her final on-screen appearance, her spirit lives on in every rerun of What's Happening that sparks laughter in a new viewer, in every animal's life she helped save, and in the memories of the countless people whose paths she crossed. Danielle Spencer wasn't only part of television history, she became part of people's personal histories. And that is a far richer legacy than ratings or fame could ever provide. For those who grew up watching her sing D. Thomas on screen, will now carry a bittersweet note but also deep gratitude. Gratitude for the joy she brought, for the laughter she gave, and for the example she set in living with courage and grace. Danielle Spencer may no longer be here, but the echoes of her presence, her wit, her warmth, her compassion will never fade. She will always stand as a reminder that the brightest stars are only the ones shining on TV screens, but the ones whose light continues to warm our hearts long after the stage lights have dimmed.